Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to our special edition. We're still following up and covering the process of the electoral elections, which is going to start abroad tomorrow and after tomorrow. And today I'm so delighted to be accompanied by Dr. Mohammed Salah, the political analyst, to speak more about this process and the elections. Good evening, Doctor.
Good evening. I would like to say I'm very happy to be with you and with all of your followers in this interview today. And I wish all of your followers a fruitful interview.
Thank you so much.
Thanks
Thank
a
you.
lot.
Well, of course, Doctor, we've witnessed the first phase of the House of the Representatives elections 2025, which went very smooth with tight organization and in a very high level when it comes to security and all of that. Right now, there were like a conclusion also of the press conference head by His Excellency the Councillor Hazem Badawi, and we've spoken about that and the preparation of this electoral process abroad and the readiness of the embassies and the centers and the polling stations and all of that. So how do you see this national event, as we do celebrate it before we celebrate also the first phase, and in Cairo it's going to be also held next Monday and Tuesday?
I would like to say that we're witnessing now a very important and significant event that's taking part in our political system, which is very important for the Egyptian political system in general. If we are talking about the election in general or the election for the Egyptians abroad, we are talking about a national or something that could be like a national day for them and for their families. A national day that they are coming back to their origins. They go back to the embassies, they go back to all the Egyptian embassies outside and give or live what we can say it an Egyptian day. Listening to Egyptian songs, having Egyptian food, dancing together in the street or in the embassies, having what we call it our arts or our Egyptian arts or dancing like Egyptians here in Egypt. All of these ideas or all of these actions are taken by the Egyptians abroad in order to celebrate this important and this vital event in our political system. The first important part of this is to complete our political system by this important part of legislation or legislative authority, by giving the House of Representatives, by giving or selecting what will represent our people in this House based on the selections of the electors or the electoral basis here in Egypt and outside. The second is how to give us the process or the progress or the communication channel between the government and the people here in Egypt. And the third is giving them the authority to produce laws which will make our life better, make our life easier. In order to produce these laws, we have to select more efficient and more professional members which have the ability to carry out this important process in general.
So it's just something very important about communication with our government and our National Election Authority here and abroad. Well, I think this can be more festive for Egyptians who live abroad to be part of this process as if they are here. So this connection between our government, the National Election Authority, the follow-up and their contribution, this I think for them means a lot. Like, you don't have to be here, but we hear your voice. You have also the authority to choose.
We would like to say that we do not have immigrants here in Egypt. I would like to say that the Egyptians are Egyptians wherever they are. I would like to say that if they are living their whole time or their whole lifetime outside Egypt, they're still tied to the Egyptian land here in Egypt. So would like to notice that they are inheriting their sons and the second generation which was born outside Egypt. They are learning them Arabic. They have the ability to learn them Arabic. They tie them to their relatives here in Egypt. They give them a lot of ties and a lot of relations between them and their origins here in Egypt. They are telling them a lot about the Egyptian civilization, and we have all witnessed what happened in the opening ceremonies of the Egyptian Grand Museum last days.
spectacular.
Yes, it was it would have a very important and global influence about all over the world. So when you give your child who hasn't lived in Egypt, when you give them what I call it, the picture of Egypt, or the picture of Egypt here in Egypt by an important occasion such as the opening ceremonies, you will have what I call it, a tie with the Egyptians, or a special love between them and Egypt. I would like to say also that the Egyptians abroad have played a key role within the revolution of 13th of June 2013, and they played a very important role in order to convey our message to the world. They have misunderstood between what's happening here in Egypt and what they are following in the press and in channels that were directed against Egypt at this period of time. Who moved or who changed all these attitudes, or who changed all of this press attitude towards Egypt? The Egyptians abroad. They have talked with their societies. They have informed the media production agents on their lands with the truth of what's happening here in Egypt. So we have to say that tying the Egyptians abroad will give them a lot of important things to do, and will give Egypt also a lot of benefits, such as giving their investments, or acquiring their investments by hard currencies here in Egypt. Give them a lot of investment vacancies here in the Egyptian market. I would like also to convey my message, or to tell the others my story throughout using them, whether they are living in Europe, in United States, in Gulf area, in Asia, in all zones, in all continents all over the world. So I think event like elections abroad now is very important for them and for Egypt at the same time.
Well, you mentioned some very important points, especially when it comes to the gym, as you said. I bet every Egyptian living abroad, he's an ambassador for his country, and we are a very jealous nation when it comes to our country. We cannot speak nothing except for how beautiful it is, how good nation we are, how about the places that we do have here in Egypt hugs. So just a ceremony, a spectacular ceremony. It was a big event because it's a big project, mega project, and as you said, when it comes to the contribution of the Egyptians who lives abroad, and their contribution investment and their currency, and different fields, they really want to indulge.
I would like to say also that one of the main prominent feature of the political system and in the age of President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, or in the period of time that have been held by President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, is concentrating more on the rule of the Egyptians abroad. You give them their rights by giving them or delivering them governmental services in their immigrants, in the immigration land, or the second land. You give them all of these political rights, such as voting in elections, voting or choosing who will perform or who will represent them in the House of Representatives. All of these actions were not, Egyptians abroad were deprived of these rights before President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi. So I think he did these actions because he knows and he believes in the Egyptian human in general. All the Egyptian people, President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi have a strong belief on the Egyptians whenever they are, wherever they are.
Well, I guess this spirit, if you have a real government, if you have a real leader,
spiritual ties, yes,
exactly,
spiritual ties between the Egyptians and Egypt, and between Egyptians in general. I'd like to say that every country have a nationality, but here in Egypt we have a gene in our blood, which is reflected or tied to Egypt. We are not choosing our nationality, we are loving, or like what Pope Shenouda said before, Egypt is not a nation, not a land that we are living in, it's a land living on us or inside us. So we have to note that the relation between the Egyptians and Egypt is totally different from the relations between any other immigrants with their homelands or their hometowns. I'd like to say, for general, all of the Egyptians abroad have a lot of plans to move back to Egypt. The others do not have this desire. The others do not have these ties. The others do not have these plans. And this is makes the Egyptians abroad are really very tight and very important for Egypt in many levels.
I bet also that when it comes to, as you said, like people who choose to go back to their countries to be more beneficial and to benefit the society, the Egyptians who live abroad, they are preparing also a new generation who's very educated, very aware of the political field, very aware of the mega projects that really Egypt satisfied now somehow. And it's not just that. Let's say, for example, I had a guest with me in the program over the phone from Canada. He's the first Egyptian member in the Canadian Parliament. That's an achievement. It's not maybe popular, but it is. You know what he did? He created a festival for Egyptian heritage, culture, and all of that, and he tried to give big portions from old names and from the golden classical musical era and patriotic songs. So they have the same, let's say, atmosphere that we are living here in celebration. So they feel that they are here, but in another country.
It is the soft power of Egypt, as they call it the soft power of Egypt. When you have a high amount of cultural preferences, we have a lot of cultural activities such as novels, such as songs, such as drama, theaters. All of these actions are counted
cinema
to
festivals.
Be cinema festivals.
As we are right now witnessing the 46th edition of the Cairo International Film Festival.
Yes, I think it's very important for them. And I'd like to say that when you are talking, or we are talking for the West or for the Western world, you are counting a lot on cultural preferences or cultural ideas or cultural activities, because they know it a lot. They understand the language of the music, the language of cinema, the language of theater. They have a lot of interest on these ideas. So when you are an Egyptian who are talking about or conveying the message throughout using these medias, or throughout using these ideas or this particular films or particular songs, music, all of these ideas will give you a great reputation outside, especially for the West, because the West are very lovely, are loving a lot, or linked a lot, or tied a lot for the arts of the East.
Right.
When are we talking about arts, we are talking about the differentiation here is making the difference. When you give them a different type of culture, a different type of music, a different type of lifestyle, they'll give you a lot of...
this diversity also is very rich.
This is very important. This is why God give us, or make the diversification is one of the basis, one of the most basis that the world was created on. So I'd like to say that all the Egyptians outside are lucky with being double cultured mentality. When they are talking about a multinational or homocultural or double cultural or many cultured, you are lucky to have your own culture like Egyptians, and acquiring other culture from the West. Whether you are living in Europe, whether you are living in Canada, whether you are living in the United States, all of this will serve you to have a very good influence, on your society, whether here in Egypt or outside.
Well, speaking about the Parliament, excuse me, I bet that the more we are aware, raising awareness is very important in any sector, in any field. But let's speak about this contribution of Egyptians to go for their pivotal role in contributing to a national event, and also not just that, but also to have someone speaking on behalf of them, which means the House of Representatives. This also means a new era in the constitutional contribution, a new vision for tomorrow. So I think this is very important, not just for the Egyptians Egyptians all over the world, not just in Cairo?
Let me say that we have a lot of progress in the field of awareness, and we have witnessed a high level of awareness compared to what was here in Egypt before 2011 revolutions. I'd like to say that most of the Egyptians have been acquired a lot of political sense, or a political culture, or a political knowledge. They know well now how important is the elections, and how the electoral process is very vital for our standard of lives, how the electoral process is very tied to our real life today, how to say that we are linked to this process in general. Before 2011, we do not have this level of awareness between the Egyptians in general. A very low level of participation rate here. We're in Egypt. We are looking about 4 or 5 percentage for participation here in Egypt. Now we have 18 and 17 and 16. We say that, so what? No, we need more. We need more participation rate for the coming, or for the next elections. Would like to say that we have witnessed the reasons, or not the reasons. I'd like to say the results of the results of the absence from taking, or from sharing, or participating on this important political event. And we have said a lot what's going around us in the Middle East, what's happening now in Sudan, what's happening in Gaza, what's happening in Libya, in Syria, in Iraq, and Yemen. All of these actions, because of the people was not sharing, or not taking his national duty on delivering or saying his opinion in the elections. So they lost their lands because of these ideas. For us as Egyptians, as we are tied to our lands, as we are tied to our land, we say that like a soldier who is waiting, or who's keeping us, or is keeping the borders, have his important role. I have a similar role to do inside the electoral process. And this is why all the Egyptians have raised the level of participation rate from before 2011 and after 2011. I said that when we have 15 or 16 or 17 percentage as a participation rate, we say that it's not enough. It's little. Oh, we were 5% before. So we have to know that we are all developing on these ideas. When we are creating or developing our educational system, when we are using social media platforms, when we are using TVs, when we are delivering our information throughout many channels, all of this participation, or this participation rates will be doubled, or will be more and more in a less or a few range of time.
When it comes to this geopolitical changes around the world, I bet Egypt has a very secured, grounded life environment, political environment, investment environment.
As we have talked about the opening ceremonies here for Egyptian Grand Museum, who have I haven't witnessed any opening ceremonies for all over the world in general. Last 5 years, not only this year, but also last 5 years, we do not have any opening ceremonies for any national project in the world in general. Whether we are talking about the superpower, which we are talking about China, about United States, about Russia, about Europe, I don't have this idea. But we have a very bad effect, or a very bad effect of the war, about giving the war and the impact of the war on the economy of the world in general. The impact of the war in Egypt, the impact of the war in the Middle East in general. All of these actions do not give all the nations, or all the countries, the ability to do, or to complete, or to add more national projects such as the Egyptian Museum. But Egypt do this. But Egypt did it exactly. Why? Because the Egyptians are fighting now. We know well that after what happened in 2011, we are not talking about a usual war. Now we are talking about abnormal war. We are talking about a different type of war, which one of its main basics or one of its main ideas is the economy itself. I have to side by side, when we are talking about fighting terrorism and Sinai, we have started to fighting poverty, we have to fighting illness, we have to fighting all of these bad actions, we have fighting economic problems at the same time, because without leaving or without facing all of the problems here in Egypt, you won't have a step forward in the future. So we have ended up with a huge amount, a large amount of problems here in Egypt, especially in the economic field. And I think in the coming few days we'll have a lot of projects and a lot of actions that will give us a very good and positive impression about the future.
Well, right now I'm so delighted to be accompanied over the phone by my dear colleague Ahmed Nader from the National Election Authority. And it's live right now. He's going to have an interview with the Councillor Hazim Badawi.
Okay, let's go.
Yes. Sorry, with His Excellency Ahmed bin Dari.
Yes, I'm at the National Election Authority with His Excellency Councillor Ahmed bin Dari, head of the Executive Committee of the National Election Authority. The interview will be conducted in Arabic with simultaneous translation. سيادة المستشار أحمد بن داري رئيس الجهاز التنفيذي,
the Executive Director of the NEA, if we begin by talking about the preparations for the parliamentary elections regarding the expat vote, as we are seeing the start of the second phase of the elections in 13 governorates starting from New Zealand. How have you seen it in the past hour? Indeed, we started the process in the first place outside of Egypt in the Embassy of New Zealand, as it was 9 a.m. in New Zealand. Also it was 10 p.m. in Cairo. New Zealand is always the first country to witness the expat vote to enable Egyptians living there to cast their ballots. All the logistics were put in place from a very early date, and we are in continuous coordination with our embassies abroad to follow up the process regarding the expat vote in all of the countries around the world, and we'll be following that process for the 2 days of the voting of the Egypt expat vote. Mr. Councillor, one of the most important statements that you mentioned in the press conference you held earlier today is the importance of the awareness of the importance of elections, especially for generations, for future generations. Of course, we are with the awareness, and we want to increase awareness for future generations as well, and not just the existing ones, but the future generations. And I've noticed that the questions that were posed to us from the young children were very smart ones. They asked us about how what they would have to do to run for and to be candidates in parliament, even for the presidency. And such meetings with the youngsters raise awareness, and the raising of awareness will help us overcome any negativities that we witness in the past decades. So if we want to avoid violations and you saw the annulment of results from 19 constituencies in the 14 governorates of the first phase. So what are the measures that you are taking now to avoid such violations from taking place? And what about the financial statements by the candidates? This is not involved. This has nothing to do with the violations, but it's, the decisions and the resolutions in the second phase are the same ones that existed in the first phase. As for the annulment of the results of some constituencies in the first phase, well, this is nothing new again. This is our jurisdiction. We have the jurisdiction to do so if we see violations. We are judges, and we look into papers and build an opinion that results into a verdict, and the spirit of the judge is what dictates us. So what the decisions that we took regarding the first phase have to do with making sure that anybody who would come to Parliament would be reflecting the will of the Egyptian people.
Well, Ahmed Nader, my dear colleague, this interview with His Excellency Councillor Ahmed Binderi, the Executive Director of the NEA, after the conclusion of the press conference that was held to show the preparations for tomorrow and after tomorrow for the voting abroad. Well, we're still speaking about that because we've been listening to the interview, and actually His Excellency the Councillor mentioned lots of things that we were speaking about right now. It's the future generation, he said, like they've been accepting.
We have talked about the future generation before this interview, yes.
Yes, so he said like they were a young generation asking about what is presidency, how can we grow up and be in this field. So I think this is what's happening now. It's for the upcoming generation. We are blessed that we do have a very secure environment when it comes to Egypt. It's very secured for investments. It's very secured for whomever wants to.
Sure, and this is why we have updated all means or all applications. We have updated all levels of infrastructure here in Egypt. We have a complete development of all the infrastructure here in Egypt in order to absorb, or in order to acquire, in order to give or attract the second generation of the Egyptians outside. Especially, we have a lot of successful businessmen, Egyptian businessmen outside Egypt. So we have to give them back, or to call them to go back to Egypt in order to invest more in your homeland, in your hometown. Especially, we have a very important, a very large market here in Egypt, and you are acquiring or calling a lot of investments from all around the world.
Yes.
When we are talking about foreign investments that are coming from European Union, as a result for our as a strategic partnership that happened between Egypt and the Egyptian Union. The same is happening with Russia. The same is happening with Gulf area. The same is happening with China. The same is happening with America.
And today with the South Korean president, he just met with His Excellency President today, encouraging him from all companies to come to invest.
Sure, because here in Egypt you have a lot of benefits, especially when I'm talking about a suitable place or a suitable placement here in Egypt between the three old continents, between Asia, Africa, and Europe. You are talking about, you are so near for all the markets or the targeted markets in Europe and in Africa. We are talking about, you are very close to the Middle East, very close to the African markets. All of these ideas, and also for having a lot of population, which will give them the ability to choose, a skillful manpower in order to invest in, or in order to use them in operating these investments here in Egypt. All of these ideas give them a lot of benefits. I think that the second generations of the Egyptian abroad have the right to make benefits from this this infrastructure. I'd like all of them to come back to, here in Egypt in order to open this market or lead the development here in Egypt.
Well, of course, this will happen because Egypt right now is attracting not just Egyptians abroad, but also all the investments from all over the world. And I think this phase is going to be another success for Egyptians abroad. Well, I would like to thank you so much, Dr. Mohammed Salah, the political analyst. And that was
very
so
happy to be with you today and all of your followers. Yes.
Thank you so much. Well, unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, we came to the end of this special edition, but we stay around for more follow-up of the new elections 2025.